Is this game? Oh, yep, that's working. Friends, enemies, those still under review. How are we doing today? So I've got some notes set aside. Um, it was a nice week getting away from the writing for a little bit. Now that I'm getting used to the streaming again. So yeah, that happened. A lot of Elden Ring, a lot of finding some juicy stuff for inspiration going through it. We know how that is. You might notice that there's a bit of a difference in my audio quality that I am still working on. I found out that due to a Windows 11 update, I was getting automatically audio enhanced by AI. And I found out by going through a playback and it didn't sound quite like me. So I turned that off. And once I turned that off, I've been having to mess with settings all weekend. I think I finally got it to where it needs to be. It might still be off a little bit. If you notice that, please let me know. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get into the writing. See, we've got two more fighter subclasses left. We did one based off the Shaolin culture. We did another based off of the karate culture. We're going to do one based off of the Dazi culture, and then we're going to do one based off of our faction, the Sable Inc. as well. Then I'm kind of thinking of breaking up the monotony and doing a like a magic weapon today. Base it off of the Bloodhound Fang. So that's what we're going to be doing. First, what's going on with my keyboard? Right. So let's just go with that for now. It's a decent working name. Blade tempered. Line. Barrel and wrathful, barrel wrath and ancestral fury. No, it's duty. Fighters on this path do not fight glory or banner. Let's throw in a dash. They fight. Let's see. Because and Guardianship. These warriors are forged in cotton caves and drenched. Scarred is a vow. Every vow is sacred. Okay, description paragraphs. We'll get to the math in a minute. When I'm doing this, I'm thinking about like tribal sentinels, the Tuareg, the Berber people, I'm thinking like animalistic martial forms like Silat. I'm thinking of like the werewolf hunters and the wolf saints in Slavic and Balkan folklore. And I think that's a good place to kind of base the thoughts of this a little bit. I think they do a good job, kind of putting down guide rails, and using them with the lore that we've already created for the Dazi people. For this, being said, let's go ahead and get this cleaned up. That way we can come back to it. Okay, it looks fine there. It's just because there's nothing under features yet. Start with level 3. Let's see. I want to do something to make this subclass not want to use heavy armor. I want to do something along the lines of like Sentinel for it. I think that might be good. Because I feel like this one's going to need to be about movement. I feel like this one's going to need to be about defending the rest of the party, because with vigilance and the pack, yeah. So I think that's the direction we're going to go with this one. Oof. Oh, oof. This is Because anything that's like named is gonna be kind of like a working name. Not so worried about what they are. I'm pretty sure I've stated previously, like all of this is still in rough draft. I don't expect even half of the subclasses being made over like the last half month, the next month, maybe month and a half to be in the final portion of this. I expect a lot of them to be like devoured by each other. Oh. You have inherited the burden of watch. You gain the following benefits. It's called the Beast Wary Stance. They're gonna come back. Hold that. While you are not wearing heavy armor, your base movement speed increases by 10 feet. When you are missed by a melee attack, you can use reaction to move 10 feet out opportunity attack. That's good. Guard. A creature you can't see within 5 feet of you. Oh. Is hit by an attack. You can use your reaction to impose disadvantage on the attack. That way you can never you can never use them both in one turn. It's an either or type thing. And that's if you don't want to use your reaction for something else. You must do so before damage is rolled. You may wait. I'm also going to limit it. You may use this feature number of times equal to your install modifier. 1, and you gain all uses of a it's limited. You can only use it however many. The typical fighter dump stat is being used against them. Fighter gets 2 at 3rd level for their subclass. Um, I think I've already used this for a subclass before. So Control F. Yeah, I have used this before. I used it for Barbarian. So I was gonna go and call it Marked Prey, which is the actual thing that the Dazi Barbarian uses, because I was just thinking like it would be nice to take the I like the thought of being able to like mark an enemy, and that's like your focus, especially for martial classes. Um, and I know people don't like doing that with classes other than Ranger, because that's kind of like what Ranger is all about. But at the same time, I think it's a little bit more fun to have additional pieces of kit that you wouldn't normally have in subclasses. It lets your characters be a bit more unique, and I want my players to be able to have that freedom. Um, and I do feel like it works. Lore wise, for subclasses under this particular race. So I'm going to go ahead and go with this thought that I've got. I'm just gonna. I need to change the name from Marked Prey. Um, having a brain fart. It's chosen. Nice and simple. To choose your enemy, not malice, but that's a bonus action. You can choose one creature you can see within 50 feet. It become I'm just gonna up a placeholder for now. For 1 minute or until it drops to 0 points. Target chosen. You know what? Chosen target. Well, let's just keep it simple as possible. Chosen target. If I have to, I will come back and do it again. I will rewrite anything that I have to. Not that big of a deal. Or weapon attacks deal bonus damage. That creature equal to your install the fire. On the creature cannot benefit from being invisible, hidden from you. Invisible. No, not invisible. Wow. If the creature targets one of your allies with an attack or full spell, you may reaction. It'll give you another choice for using your reaction to make a melee attack against the creature. You may mark a oh. It's not good. Go back to sleep. Boop. Back to sleep. Where was I? Mark a creature. This way, a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. Wait, bonus. I think that rounds out 3rd levels. Fighters next one is 7th level. Oh, is it messed up? What's going on with the mic? Is it the is the voice coming across too loud again? Is that working it better? Shifting to right ear and cutting. I think this may fix it. So I had an issue last week, end of last week. Windows 11 updated, and it turned on my AI audio enhancement automatically. And since then, it wreaked havoc on all of my settings and anything to do with sound. Well, I technically it was before that. Like it was even messing with my capture card and all that. So my audio has been peaking. It's been shifting. Because when I don't know if people know this with the advanced settings, but it doesn't just mess with the way it sounds afterwards, it actually tweaks all your individual advanced settings. So you've got to go deep into your files to tune them back and everything. And it's a pain in the ass. But I've got everything up on OBS set with filters and taking notes on anything that I have to change so I can go back into those advanced settings after and change them permanently so I don't have all this garbage up in my OBS. But thank you for the heads up, Dew on the Grass. Windows 11 is a machine that turns large language models into defunct software. I mean, they are anyway. I don't think that there's I don't think that there's not a personalized, unless it is a personalized LLM that you've got thousands of hours in. I don't think that it's anything other than defunct software at this point. They're all being mass poisoned by the internet, trying to prevent people from being replaced by them. But I don't think people understand exactly what's going on with that either. A lot of that is set up with the companies who have backups upon backups, and they're just letting the public poison the free use models, and anything that isn't free use isn't being affected anyway, especially the large scale business models. Oh, I'm not a super huge fan of AI, if you can't tell. um, oh, large language models are a machine that turns your Windows 11 into defunct software. I mean, I think it's meant, the way that Windows is pushing updates with the software, I think a lot of it is actually meant to brick systems. I think they want you to depend on it so you forget how to do things so that you buy their products more often. And it's important to remain vigilant to actually read what's getting updated in every software update. That way you can, may not be meant to, but they certainly don't care about that side effect. No, I honestly, I know it's like conspiracy theory levels of bullshittery, but I do 1000% believe that there's something going on with that, you know? And shitification is just the modern capitalist business model. On that, we can agree. Yeah. Like I said, I know it's like conspiracy theory levels. It's chicanery in a nutshell, but at the same time, I don't think it can really be viewed any other way. They just want your money, and whatever they can do to get it more often and more of it on top of that, the better. Oh. Let's see, 7th level. Something with action surge. Put a little bonus on whenever the fighter actually uses that. Working name for now. How about feral? Heavy master. 7th level is a good point for mastery in a description. Guardianship in that, in the Bang of the Last Visual Power. Oh, wow, all sorts of typos up here. You can tell that I did not warm up my fingers before I started typing. Wow. Wow. Man. Bad butt. Go away. Wow. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. I wouldn't have gone back and checked that until post stream. Well, hey, I mean, typos are all part of writing. Let's see. Let's... When you insert you enter one of the following 8. Yo, thanks for the follow, man. I see another thing that I am going to have to fix, though. Messed up the coding in stream. Let me write that down because I will forget that. CSS. All right, got that written down. That is 2 things or 3 things at this point that you have made me fix. You are making me work today. I'm sure. Following state minutes to are capacitated. So let's make that a colon. Come down here and start using bullet points. Howling Wind is a good working name for anything wolf theme. 1 minute bonus. You gain advantage on dexterity. Saving. I felt that typo. And jump distance doubled feel like we don't do enough with carrying capacity and jump distances in D&D anymore. I haven't really seen anything with that since like 3.5. I'm gonna have to remember to put something campaign for that when I get to that. Let's see. Yeah. You may dash as a bonus action. And I think that's good for the first dance. Let thing. When you make an opportunity attack, you may do so with advantage and add your eased on the fire to I think I want to increase the range of criticals for this, but I think it's gonna need a secondary modifier, not just using this ability. I think I want to add a movement prerequisite, so working name. When you go 10 or attacking creature. First weapon attack on turn scores a critical hit on a 19. Let's use a vigilant state. You cannot do so. Again, you finish a long rest. Good, and I think our next ability level. Yeah, it's 10th level. I think this one is going to be used as a catch-up ability. I think I'm going to use it to increase the power of the level 3 Sentinel's blood. And I think I'm going to... I think this needs to be way... that rather than upgrade the other level 3 ability, Visual Technique, it like not really an upgrade, but more of an add-on to it. Because I basically what I want to do is like think of this as like upgrading the driver for Sentinel's Blood, but it's also a plug-in for something else that you're using for the other level 3 ability vigil technique that we've got written. So scars, battle, and did I spell her? Instincts speak. Pain. When you take damage from a creature you can see. Oh, why did I do that? You gain advantage on your next roll. Skill check or saving throw you make before the end of your next turn. In addition, when a creature marked by your visual technique drops to 0 hit points, you regain 1 use of your Sentinel's Blood ability. That way they work off of each other. Right. 15th level. If a party member slaps you, you remember your training, come to your senses, and remake that failed ability check. I was thinking. I see what you're thinking. I was thinking more along the lines of like a clarity and battle fury. Sorry, I'm kind of repositioning in my chair. Oh, back is hurting today. Kind of like you're in the middle of getting attacked, and instead of panicking, you let the adrenaline take over, and you just focus on what you're doing, kind of deal. Because it's your next roll. Like if your next roll is your attack roll, a skill check, or a saving throw, you get an advantage on it. So it's just like a burst of adrenaline, because that's all fighter is. It's meant for combat. I mean, yeah, but I would personally rule, because of the way it's written and what it's meant to be for, they would have to draw blood. Like they would have to like hit you hard enough to draw blood and actually do damage. just to prevent it from being abused. Which is kind of why I wrote it as when you take damage from a creature you can see. Just because I don't like I like it when players use their abilities in ways that you're not expecting, but I also think it's really important to write things out so that they don't get abused. Yeah, that quick shoot me in the face kind of deal. It was kind of like the whole 3.5 in Pathfinder with the barbarian rage and the way it was ruled as written. You don't have to do damage, they just have to either do damage or be attacked. So be like, oh yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and excuse me, attack my party member, but I'm going to purposefully miss, but I've attacked, so they get to keep their rage, just to prevent like that kind of chicanery, shenanigans. Oh, 15th level, 15th level. By 15th level, fighter has 3 attacks. I want to make an ability that makes you give up an attack if you choose to use it. Give you options like moving up to an additional half of your speed. And if you choose to do that, you can attack every enemy you move by. First ever campaign was 1E Pathfinder and gave me a taste for good TTRPG. Sorry, that table was power gaming. Yes, it is definitely a beautiful mess of a system. I personally will always have a soft spot for 3.5. A lot of number crunch, much more difficult to write encounters and balance them properly. However, at the same time, just there was so much freedom to do anything you wanted. Because like instead of subclasses, it was archetypes, and you could take multiple archetypes as long as they didn't switch out the same ability. And then you've got players who they're a mage, but the mage has absolutely no spells. All of your charges are based off of martial abilities instead with the spell slots, because that's just what the archetype does. 3.5 was absolutely wonderful. 5E, because I played around with 4E. I like how they used 4E for Baldur's Gate 3. I think the way they took everything from 5E and morphed it into a 4E type usage to make that game worked very well for what the game was. But I don't like 4E. 4E was a bitch of a system. I do like 5E, but yeah, that was me. My DM mentioned the Ironcaster build, and I was hooked. It's such a good. It's basically becoming a non-magical anime protag. It's a beautiful little build for somebody who wants the ability to do cool things with their weapons, but doesn't want to have to remember 10,000 spells. It's great for someone's first foray, especially if you're playing 3.5. That being said, there's not really anything for that in 5e. I've got some notes that I've been scribbling out I want to make something like that for 5e, but a brand new class is going to come after subclasses. Because I think that's a great premise for a class itself when you look at 5e because of how mechanics are balanced. Chain holds you of blades will break charge. When you take the attack action, you may choose to go one attack to a circle breaker strike. Actually, I think that needs open because these aren't options, but that it should be a list of things that kind of build on each other. Move up to half your speed. This movement does not provoke opportunity at that one. You may make a melee weapon attack so that this doesn't get merged with monk, because I just put melee attack, they're going to use this to roll through, and every enemy that they run by, they're going to flurry of blows. So gotta make sure I have that little melee weapon attack in here. Because only in 5.5, which I'm not crazy about some of the changes they made, they broke counterspell. They broke my boy. It's only good for EM usage at this point. If you're a player, just use Dispel. It does the same thing for a lower spell slot cost. At least now it does. A melee weapon attack against any number of creatures you move within 5 feet of during this movement, each only once. And that should take care of the other monk subclasses that can use flurry of blows with weapons in 5.5. Granted, they do have to be 17th level to circle, breaker, flurry. I believe this is the 15th level ability. Yeah, this is the 15th level ability. The next one is 18th. And you know, that is a good point. I don't think you need to worry too much at this point about addendums. When it comes, you got to take 2 monk levels. That's true. You do have to take 2 monk levels for that dip. However, I want you to think about this. With the way things were rewritten for 5.5e, you can have a sorcerer in the party and a wizard. The wizard gives them haste, and then the sorcerer goes ahead and does summon elemental, and chooses that monk fighter multi-class dip, and then they go through, and as they run through each one, they attack, flurry of blows, attack, flurry of blows, attack, flurry of blows, attack, flurry of blows. At this level that we're talking about, level 17, that's almost 150 damage per round if all of them hit, like on average ish. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish writing this out, but this specifically probably isn't going to make it to the end unless I figure out a workaround for that, because I just pieced that out, and that is disgusting. That would also have to take into account that party members are going to work together and use their abilities to super buff one person, and I can't think of many parties that would do that. Make a melee weapon attack again. I adore. Oh yeah, no, I absolutely love it. But at the same time, as a DM, when they start doing that stuff, I have to seriously scale through, because at this point, with the level 17 party, my group is a group of 6, so I'm probably giving them CR23s at this point. If I ever go this high in a campaign again, if they manage to do that, I'm probably looking at bumping them up to at least CR25. No, I have in the past. My current group is also the group I took over a course of 2.5 years from level 3, because I don't like starting at level 1. The party is just struggling to survive no matter what you do. Even the fighter, a group of kobolds can have a flu and sneeze a couple of times, and boom, the whole party is gone, not just a wizard. That is one thing a 3.5 does do a little bit better than 5e, but I digress. But I took them all the way from 3rd level to 20th level over a course of 2.5 years. Trials, tribulations, headaches were had along the way. I personally don't want to take them past like level 13, level 14 again. Just because I feel like the range from like 10 to 13 was probably the most fun. Which is a small window, and it does need build up between the party and their characters and everything. But I do think the 10 to 13 range was the most fun, and then after that, and instead of building a story together, it just felt like I was trying to throw everything at them to slow them down once they hit like 14 plus, which wasn't a lot of fun, and may have been partially due to weapons that I gave them. What was that one meme of "you don't understand the horrors I've seen"? There were 4 time stops cast, one in one round. Time stopception. I believe they rewrote that for 5.5, so I don't think that's a thing anymore. And I'm glad my party never tried that. You know what? You may make a melee weapon attack against any number of creatures you move. Well, attack at disadvantage. If it's worded that way, even if they do, you're probably looking at an average, like at that biggest amount at this level, probably like a 75, and I think that fixes it and balances it down enough that it could be used for a larger party still. So this might make it to the final cut, actually. I bought the 5.5 book, so I'm living in blissful ignorance. I mean, I talk a lot of shit, but they also fixed a lot of things. Like, take a look at the Warlock Paladin multiclass, right? The smites on top of smites on top of smites. I could attack, I could crit fish, and oh well, I got my crit, so I'm gonna go ahead and use one smite. I'm gonna use another smite, and then this Eldritch Invocation lets me use a spell along with it, so I'm gonna throw this third spell smite down as well. And it was just nasty. It's absolutely disgusting. And that did get fixed. You still can double smite, but you can't do a divine and an eldritch smite. It would have to be either a divine or an eldritch with one of the spell smites, which is definitely weaker. But they did fix it out so that you can't triple smite on a crit fish expedition. And then it's little things like that they fixed, but I don't think that they needed to necessarily try to roll out a whole edition. I think they could have fixed it because it was like three main things, right? It was like that, and I can't remember off the top of my head what the other two problems were. I think one of them was with Sorcerer, but they didn't have to roll out a whole new edition, right? They could have just done an errata. I think they just wanted everybody to buy all of the books again. Be like, oh, the new edition is backwards compatible with 5e. But we have all these new rules, and we've reduced the amount of choices that your players have. Oh, we think calling somebody a half of something is, no bueno. So we're getting rid of most of the races now. Oh, by the way, they're not races anymore. If you have a race, you're racist. But look through the rules. Of course, being a home game, it's not like it's Adventures League where you have to go with updated rules and rules as written rather than intended and all that. We have a few house rules of our own. We've chosen what we want to bring from 5e and what we're going to accept from 5.5e. There are a couple of rules such as like counterspell. We brought counterspell from 5e because they destroyed it in 5.5. Because if you're playing 5.5, counterspell isn't. It's just not any good for the player. It's like it's only meant for the GM. Dispel basically does the exact same thing at this point, and that just it bothers me. Any attacks hit. Each creature hit must succeed on a strength saving throw. DC equals 8 plus GNC plus your strength modifier or be not. Oh shit, what did I just hit? My mic working? Okay, my mic's working. You can use the circle breaker strike once per what short or long rest. Which is going to bring us to level 18. A con save makes it. It's not for you. It's for the enemy. It's not for you. It's not a drawback against you. Not at this level. It's for the enemy. Like because you can get multiple. So at this level for a fighter, you have 3 attacks, right? So you have to give up an attack to use this ability. You can only use it once per short or long rest, though. And as you go, you can move up to half of your movement speed. So if you run by 4 enemies that are within 5 feet of you as you run, you can attack each one of those at disadvantage. Oh, the 5.5E counterspell. Oh yeah, I mean, I see the vision. I see the vision of what they were trying to do with it. But I think it was already what it needed to be. I think it was just fine where it was, you know? Like, I was always a fan of counterspell. It didn't matter what I was playing. If it fit the character itself, and I wasn't the GM, it had counterspell. Like, I may have never ever had a reason to use it, but it was counterspell. It was a perfect utility. It wasn't even just an in combat type spell. And then because counterspell and dispel magic basically do the same thing now, there's no reason to have counterspell. Dispel magic is the way to go because it's also a lower spell slot now. Whereas in 5e, you had to choose counterspell or dispel magic because counterspell was for an active spell being cast, and dispel magic was for something already placed. Now they both do the same thing. I don't think they needed to mess with counterspell. I think it was just fine and it was already balanced. I want to use this to upgrade visual technique again. I want to do if you're brought to 0, no you're not, you're brought to 1. And I want to do frightened and charmed immunity. You are the final wall. One who watches when no one. Oh. That's way edgier than it was in my head. It's okay. It's okay, Grim. It's a rough draft. This is a rough draft. It's not gonna make it in the end. You're gonna cut that sentence out. While conscious, that's wait. S conscious. Blah, blah, blah. You are immune to frightened and charmed effects when you are reduced to 0 hit points. Up 1 hit. Immediately move up 15 feet and make a melee weapon attack. That's a reaction. This reaction it cannot be used again until you have finished a long rest. Additionally, while you are bloodied, below half hit points for vigil technique deals an additional 1d6 damage per strike. No, this is 18th level. I'm gonna make it 2d6. Oh, look at that. We closed out this page quite nicely. Let's see if this works. That didn't work the way I wanted it to. It's okay, we're not formatting today. I'm gonna come back and do that in maths later on. This was Sentence Blood. I don't know why I'm doing that when I can just come over here. I can control C. I can control V. And that, as they say, that. There we go. Got thoughts on what I want to do with the Sable ink. Or a fighter subclass based on them. Super simple. Ink blade. Inkle blade, ink blade. And I'm kind of wanting to base this one off of like the counter Reformation Europe imperial state resistances, the Eastern European Jewish partisans, World War II ish. The Indian murder as order philosophy. And since everything with these guys has to do with scribes, with the written word, maybe bring in religious devotion through calligraphy that was found in the Ottoman Empire and Moorish Spain of the Arabics for flavor to go with our Stasi-esque faction that we're basing this subclass off of. Trained by rogue, hunted professor and mass X consoles. Blades are the edge, the sable ink. They do not simply crush rebellions. Let's throw an M dash here. They manipulate rebellion all the way to their destination. And let them destroy themselves. Their training is esoteric. Combat forms used with philosophy. Movement paired with memory. Oh, I forgot to scroll down. We're on the new page. Oh, we're on page 31. That's a lot of pages. And scar turn into cipher. Copy and paste my table from the previous one because we lazy like that. Play. Oh. First, third level. This. Let's see. I think maybe something on when initiative is rolled, you can move on initiative without like maybe intelligence modifier times 5 feet. So since intelligence is so often a dump stat for fighters, maybe intelligence times 5, intelligence modifier times 5 equals the number of feet you can move at beginning, like when you roll initiative, without provoking attacks of opportunity. And you know what? I think this one is only going to get 1/3 level ability. No. No. I was thinking about something. I think they should be 2 separate abilities actually. So we'll get a second, third level. I'm not gonna break the mold. I think I know what I'm gonna do with this. Okay. 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 Shoot. I've been sitting here silent while I'm thinking. Do. Um. Oh. Um. You are trained to think like a scholar and strike like a scalpel. No, not scowl. Scalpel. Scalpel. When you roll initiative, you can move up to your intelligence modifier times 5 feet, minimum 5 feet, without provoking attacks of opportunity. And I think that is all this ability needs to be. You're already getting additional movement with it. Which is deal. And it's right off the bat too, right? And as you level up and your intelligence increases, we are looking at it increasing on its own, so we don't have to worry about doing anything that's going to add to the ability. We don't have to worry about upgrading the ability. It stands on its own, which is going to make it easier to write out the rest of these. I'm not going to have to worry about doing any catch-up abilities at like level 10. Wunderbar. Scholarly forms. Scholarly forms are tactical philosophies. We fought Connery today. Washer free. Hmm. Inked into your mind. You can activate one as a voice action. Each lasts for 1 minute or until you are incapacitated. You can use this. I'm gonna. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your. Oh, what do we want to do with this one? Proficiency bonus. Gaining all uses upon finishing a long rest. But since I was already thinking on that topic, won't have to go back to it. I could just fill out the middle now. Let's see. I think 3 forms to choose from is a good number. Obscured glyph. You have advantage on dexterity, stealth, and intelligence, investigation checks. When you attack a creature that cannot see you, that attack deals bonus damage equal to your intelligence modifier. So I'm already seeing a theme with this now that I'm going. I feel like this fighter is gonna be a little roguish, which isn't necessarily bad. I think if you're looking at like the different martial classes, Paladin is definitely up at the top when multi-classed. But its survivability is kind of unmatched. And then you've actually got Rogue in second place as a glass cannon. I actually like looking at it and looking at their averages and looking at what they can do outside of combat. Place them above the barbarian unless you're just looking for raw damage and combat capabilities. And then it's barbarian, and then it's fighter, because fighter is just an all-rounder. Fighter can do anything, so by making the fighter feel like more of a rogue, I feel like you're gonna get more utility out of your fighter in that regard. My back. thesis. I messed that up. Boom, now you're bolted. Oh, for sure, like you can't be in a grimdark world without roguish tendencies unless you're channeling power greater than or equal to the eldritch monstrosities you're facing. Or a barbarian. I agree. You have to do something to level your playing field. Especially if you're doing something with horror themes or a grimdark setting. Because it just everything is going to be stacked against you. Because even though, like, words are hard. Words are really hard. So I am making a grimdark setting. However, I don't see dark as a genre. I see it as a template that gets put over genres. So you can have horror themes, you can have high fantasy. I think grimdark is more along the lines of how the actual theme itself is skewed. For example, high fantasy, you're dealing with kings, you're dealing with courts, you're dealing with dragons, tons of powerful magics, and the party gets access to those as well. So when you throw a grimdark template over it, you're looking at it being more of a what's wrong with using this? Is there a moral boundary that you're doing? And that's how you kind of manipulate it into grimdark. And you give them a reason to not use their all-powerful gifts, even though the enemy is using. Or you go for a grittier setting with more horror themes. And rather than it being this all-powerful force, you make the world on the low magic spectrum as well. And then instead of giving the party a reason not to use them, you make sure the party is always using them because you want them to get attention because they're fixing little areas, but as soon as they go to fix the next area, it gets overtaken by the overarching theme again. The things like that. So I feel like it's important to make sure that everything is stacked against the player and they have enough in their toolkit that they can go either route depending on what the dungeon master chooses to do. That was probably a way wordier explanation than it needed to be. But yeah. When you take the action, no, that makes sense. It's also really cool. The only time I've seen the word grimdark is through Homestuck's lens of quasi-irony. I mean, if we're going into a literary sense, then yes, grimdark is a genre in and of itself. And you only have two routes to go with when you're looking at grimdark in that capacity. You're either going for overly serious tone of grit, which means it needs to be highly historically based, or it's just going to come across as just, oh, look at me, I'm so edgy. Or you have to just lean into how cringe it sounds, which is why Warhammer is so successful as a grimdark series, because instead of being the, oh, we're gonna take ourselves overly seriously, like, oh, well, this is cringy as fuck, we're gonna double down on this and make it cringier, and it works because they're making fun of themselves while still keeping pace with their tones and their storytelling. And those are really your only two routes. Oh hell yeah! Those are really your only two routes, literary wise, when you're looking at grimdark. I'm sure there's somebody that can explain that better than I can, but I do really love like the grimdark template. I think it does really well for tabletop games. Because I think when you go for horror elements in games, I don't think, and people say like it's 5e is the problem for running a horror game. I don't think it's 5e that's the problem. I think that it's tabletop as a whole is a problem for horror. But grimdark helps fix that. Because a lot of what horror is build up and anticipation, and that's best done with sounds and visuals rather than a group hallucination where everybody's imagination is different and everybody's thinking different things. The only reason Vegeta works in DBZ Abridged is because he wholly believes in every one-liner he delivers, no matter how cringe or self-oblivious. I mean, that's why Vegeta works in DBZ, not just Abridged. He's meant to be that guy. But I do see what you're saying, and I think that actually may have summed that up better than what I was doing. Oh. Back. Oh, when you take the attack action. Oh. Oh, my brain. I gotta bring up my 5e status effects. I am a machine that turns very ages of pop culture into amalgamated explanation. I mean, that's actually a really good skill to have, especially these days where everything is talking. Lightened, charmed, deafened, frightened, grappled, incapacitated, visible, paralyzed, petrified? No. Poison prone, restrained, stunned. What do I want to do? I really just wanted to have disadvantage on one attack. I don't think I'm actually going to use a status effect. When you take the attack action, you may disorient one creature, causing it to have disadvantage on its next attack roll or saving throw. Creature until the start of your next turn. Code, why do you do this to me? Take the attack action movement until start of your next turn. disoriented creature has disadvantage on its next attack roll or saving throw. I just want it to be a one-off thing. Oh, literally word poisoning. Yeah, that's a way to put it. The problem is like because the way I'm doing this is by coding it out in a hodgepodge of CSS and HTML spaghetti coding and homebrewery. So as I'm typing, sentences and paragraphs are still considered to be one line. So like the way I've got it set up, I don't see it as one line. It's still broken up even though it's one line. So if like I'm at the beginning of it and I see something that's at the end of that line but not the line, and I hit end, it takes me all the way to the end of that paragraph or sentence, which can get confusing, and I have to grab the mouse and I have to click in the middle of it. So if I'm making like edits on the go, it's kind of a pain in the ass. But it makes it easier to format later when I can like find some like royalty free art and stuff. Oh. Or if I can find an artist that's like cool with me using their art, since I'm not selling this, just to make it pretty, as long as like I give them credit. But it's getting harder and harder to find artists that are willing to do that these days, because everybody's scraping art for AI and not giving credit or giving credit to the wrong people and things like that. So networking in that manner is getting harder and harder. It's in Creed. From when a creature targets you with an enchantment or illusion spell, you may use your action to force it to make a saving throw. DC equals 8 plus your proficiency modifier plus your intelligence modifier on a failure. Gotta go to work. Thanks for the stream. Hey, thanks for coming and spending time in the chat. It means a lot. You have a good day at work. Do on the grass. On a failure, it's frightened of you until the end of its next turn. Bye. I think that's good for this ability. We're on to 7th level now. Oh wait, I gotta put the header on that. Go. I want to do something with action surge again. Already called them a scalpel. Action surge, scalpel, surgical maneuvering. Something with movement. A little bit of teleportation. Maneuvering, right? Maneuvering? It's E. A new bearing. Yeah. Okay. When you use your action surge, also do one of the that's part of the same turn. Cast. Oh, this guys. So for silent image without expending a spell slot. That's important because you are a fighter and you don't have spell slots.
What's wrong, Rosie? You doing okay, baby?
And you stay out there and be all grouchy and pouty. Extending, it should say. Bending a spell slot. Up to 15 feet. A location you can see. Provided both start and end points are in dim light or darkness. Yeah. Choose one creature you can see within 15 feet. It must succeed on intelligence saving throw. DC equals 8 plus your proficiency modifier plus your intelligence modifier. Or have disadvantage on the next saving throw it makes before the start of your next turn. think that's good. I don't need to put limits on it because it's already limited by action surge. 10th level now. I want to do something that just fucks with the enemy. I want to like reduce damage. I don't want to give it disadvantage, but I think I want to like prevent advantage. Oh man, I feel like I'm like half asleep. Maybe like a counter heretic stratagem. Your knowledge of enemy tactics and laws. Let's do undermine foes mid as a bonus action. Choose a creature you can see within 30 feet. Till the end of your next turn, bullets. The creature cannot benefit from advantage. Anytime the creature deals damage, you may use your reaction. That way you have to make a choice to reduce that damage by 1d8 plus your intelligence modifier. Wait, by intelligence modifier. Yeah, that should be fine. You may use this ability a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier per short rest. I feel like this one's a short rest type ability. Just gonna bring me to 15th level. Something with reflexes. I want to do another thing where I drop the need for heavy armor again. Since we've been playing with the typical dump stat for fighter, I think I want to do it again. I think not. Actually, I think I want to get rid of armor. If you're not wearing armor, you add your intelligence modifier, your AC. And you're not wielding a shield. Which I think also gets rid of some other drawbacks. Let's see. scars and reflexes carry memory beyond what the eye reads. Oh, that sounds good. Good without being too edgy. Oh no, I didn't name the ability. Work. The body remembers. That sounds very Parasite-y. That's okay. You may now add your intelligence modifier to your AC when you are not wearing armor or wielding a shield. In addition, when you miss with a melee weapon attack, you may mark the target until the end of your next turn. The next time you deal damage to the marked target, marked, oh, what am I doing? Creature. I prefer creature to target. Oh yeah, swing at a pillar and I miss it. Oh well, I guess I get to do extra damage next time. Oh. Allocated damage to the marked creature. You deal an additional 2d6 damage, and it cannot take reactions until the end of its next turn. Alright, this is the rough draft. Sounds convoluted. It probably is. I think I want to do something with the scholars forms. You are a weaponized thesis. An unkillable contradiction. When you drop a creature to 0 hit points, score a critical hit, you may immediately activate a scholar's form. No action required. I feel like that's important. I feel like if I don't do that, a DM will read this and rule that it has to be a bonus action. I want it to be an immediate. And I don't remember if 5.5 allows free actions anymore, or if it's just no action abilities. I think it's no action in 5.5. Even if you have no uses remaining. Um, in addition, you no. While you are under the effects of a scholar's form, you may take a reaction, take one reaction per turn, even if you wait, may take one additional reaction per turn. I was about to word that so fucking weird. You could take one reaction per turn, even if you've already. You could take one additional per turn. Like, what am I thinking? Yeah, I think that's good for this. Right, time to Control C, Control V. These names up and away into these up here. And I'm still going to do the magic weapon. I think though I need to take a short break. Because it's going to take me past the time that I can take my dogs pee, and I'm gonna go ahead and take them out now. Before I get started on it, because it's not fair to them to have to hold it. And we are back. Let's see. Already made the last two fighter subclasses. I think it's time to make a weapon. I'm actually going to do another page, just to prevent me from keeping it mixed in the middle and messing it up. I can see where I'm at in the code. I want to do it based on Bloodhound Fang. Let's Fang. Wait a minute. Isn't there a quick items? Items? Yes, there is. Bloodhound's Fang. Gonna be a weapon. Great sword. Rare. I feel like rare is going to fit it pretty well. Let's see. I wanted to fit it into the lore of this setting, even though it's definitely from Elden Ring. Forged for killers dance between death and pursuit. This blade's edge is thin breath and stained color of arterial when sung swung it like something alive. M dash. Heart steel pattern. Those who master lashes of crimson mist slipping just beyond reach, striking again. I feel like there's typos in there. Maybe not. Maybe not. Okay. I forget I have to put description on there. Is that a thing? I think it is. It is. Description. Ah, you have not outsmarted me, Alexa. I have a mute button. Let us think. Let us think. So great swords are 2d6 slashing. Put heavy and two-handed up here, don't I? I think it goes here. Heavy. No, I don't think it goes up there. I think it goes. Heavy, two-handed. I think it goes there. I think it goes. Sorry, I've got that up on two screens for some reason. I brought it over to the side so I would stop going into the other thing I made with stuff that I've got for home. Yeah, it goes there. It goes there. Let's properties. Da 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 da. Bloodhounds, finesse. Obviously, on the ability. When you hit a creature with this weapon, you can expect. Just one. Going back. But what else? Here, you let me finish what I'm doing. Let me finish what I'm doing. And I'll throw the ball. How do you want that? You want me to throw the ball? Gotta let me finish what I'm doing first. Gotta let me finish up what I'm doing first, sweetie. Down. All right. Where was I? Oh, you can expend one of the blades. You know what? One of the blades, 3 charges, because I want it to be a weapon with charges. To vanish in a blur of bloodied mist, teleporting up to 10 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. This movement does not provoke opportunity attacks. Immediately after teleporting, you may choose one of the following effects. Yeah. Oh. Wow. Okay. Let's... Okay, there we go. It turned everything into the header. Oh, I thought I broke it. Choose one of the following effects. Let's see. The things that you do with the blade, you either use that ability to pull back and get away from it faster. Whatever you're fighting faster, and then you either pull away from it so that you can have time to block. You either move around or you follow up with the heavy strike. So retreat, reposition, or pursue. So we will retreat. Moment. Gain +2 AC until the start of your next turn as you evade retaliation. Wow, retaliation. Wow. Wow. And then it was reposition. Move up to half your movement speed as part of the same action without provoking attacks of opportunity. And then we had pursuit. If the creature you struck is still within 5 feet after teleporting, you may make one additional attack against it as a bonus action. This blade gains 1d3 expended charges daily at dawn. Expended. I think this needs a drawback to it as well, other than the charges. We'll call it Predator's Mirage. Each time you evade, no, each time you expend a charge, your after image lingers behind you momentarily until the start of your next turn. Attack rolls made against you have advantage if the attacker can see you. I think it's like more of a you're blurred fast enough to evade the first hit, but your disoriented trail gives enemies a chance to predict where you're moving next. I'm about to find out anyway. Because I'm finished. Well, I wanna. I don't know if I want to add art to this or not yet. I mean, I could at least add the sword on here because that's fair use since I'm not selling this, but so that would be fine. But I don't want to put art on here until I have permission. This because it was a lot easier when I was part of Game Master Stash. Because we had a lot of people that we talked to that gave us permission to like use anything in their portfolio as long as we gave them credit. But I'm not with Game Master Stash anymore, so I don't have those connections, and I don't want to just use people's art willy-nilly. Like I can use the images in my Be Right Back screen because I was part of Game Master Stash at the time, so it's part of my writing portfolio and my graphic formatting portfolio. And if any of them ever got back to me like, hey, I don't agree with like you being able to use my art for this purpose anymore, it's not like I can't take it down. But without permissions, I don't feel right. I feel like I'm stealing it. So I need to start reaching out and networking with artists again. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for today. Did true fighter subclasses and magic item, a weapon. That was based from the Elden Ring gameplay. So that's nice. Everything is coming full circle back to D&D, as it should. Everything should circle back to D&D. Everything. But I'm gonna go ahead and go. So y'all have a good day. I will see you tomorrow. And I actually think we're gonna be playing some Elden Ring tomorrow. It was nice to write, but I don't really want to write 2 days in a row, you know. And I've got a gut feeling that I need to go through and do some more audio cleanup. All right, guys. Peace.